Hey everyone, Hans here. Hope all of you are doing as well as I am, which is excellent by the way. Thank you for wondering, I suppose. What am I gonna go on about today? I guess I'm gonna talk a bit more about evil people. Now, what do I mean with evil? To clarify, I talk about those who are anti-life, whose very living style, whose very motivations sow destruction. Create deserts, um, including deserts. I do not only talk about the destruction of nature, but the destruction of people's minds, the destruction of souls, perhaps even, including their own, because that is a very common trait among the evil. Their first victim is actually always themselves. Now, yeah, what do you do with that? But what is also typical for these people is that they are parasitic. They're vampires. They suck out your life force. The whole blood thing is a bit, is a bit of a metaphor in a sense. But yeah, they suck out your life force. They want to basically run off with your stuff. The types who have no qualms with lying in the most horrific ways. And, well, for their personal gain, they'll basically do anything. So, what do you do if you are like that? If the only thing that interests you, and maybe this is worth adding too, is it's a mind exercise in recognizing predators, right? And if you know what a predator thinks like or functions as, because thinking is maybe not even always the case, it could also just be some sort of weird instinct. If you recognize that, if you went in their heads for just a moment, as they always try to get in yours, don't mistake about that at all. As they try to get in your head, so must we unfortunately go into theirs. That is uncomfortable, but that is what you must do. In the first place, if you don't want to be victimized by them, and if you. What else? Well, I suppose if you want to do good for the world, for your friends, for your family, for yourself as well, of course. If you're gonna be that type who thinks, ew, I'm out of here, well, I suppose be that way, but I think that is really disappointing, because how are you gonna put a stop to it all? No. So, what we must understand then, looking into their heads, they're constantly thinking that they are the most important thing and have absolutely, in some cases, not even self-awareness. Some half-decent people have even no self-awareness. Okay, they go around the world. They stride among people, because that is where the resources or whatever it is they want lie, right? Okay. The main thing they always will question themselves is, of course, how do I get that guy or that girl's stuff? Could be attention, could be resources, could be services of any kind. Well, they have to spin a good bullshit story, pardon my language. They have to spin a good old story that they will think appeals to you. That's step number one. So if you're wild positive, if you're even, if you will, don't really like that term, if you hold on to your own ancestors, your own heritage, your people's heritage, well, guess I'm gonna give you the chance to pause the video, and you probably will already know. What is the first thing they're gonna tell you? Okay, if you paused it, fine, I can I can continue. If you made up your mind about it already, good on you. Don't really need me for that, I think. For those who just want to listen to the video, well, they're gonna say that they're standing for why well-being and then hail the gods and all of that good stuff, right? It's always gonna be step number one, and it is difficult, I suppose, to differentiate that from those who would say that and actually mean it. In and of itself though, if they come in with full enthusiasm and all of that, bear in mind, and here is where you will notice the difference, is that as they spin like this entire story about themselves of all that they've done in their lives, and oh, they have this altar and they have drank, you know, that kind of meat and this, and they are warriors and druids and all of that stuff. Gaudis, Reikias, they're all these wonderful things, or have known these wonderful people, blah 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 blah. You need to realize this, how realistic is this? And if it is actually a possibility, then ask them what their philosophy on their life has been thus far. That makes it a lot more difficult for them to start with, because what is also typical for evil people is, as being parasites, they're only interested in sucking the life out of everything. Someone who is only interested in, well, let's call it a sort of hedonism, doesn't really bother with spirituality of any kind, and by extent philosophy. So when you then ask them, what is your philosophy on life? You will actually make them uncomfortable very quickly. I would even say, ask them outright. Say, are you just spinning a story here? Are you a sociopath of some kind? I don't know how that would go, but it could actually be funny. Or you could even say, I think you're a sociopath. Am I right? No idea. I have never tried it that way. But you know, some brutal honesty, right? Which is something they're not that comfortable with. If they're then saying no, fine, keep testing him. Vixel already made a video on this before, if you, for those who have seen it. Think I titled it Tactics of the Wretched Masks. I think that's the video. There's actually more of the same. But then, they surround, let's just pretend that they get their way in. What's the next move? Like they've bypassed the first test. The test of character, if you will, if they actually have one or not. The test of character has been passed, and now it's cooperation. The test of cooperation. These types, they're hungry for fame and glory and attention and all of that, right? It's not even really glory that they're after, it's really just attention. Because attention gives them their little dopamine hits in their head. You know, those few moments they actually do feel something, except bitter envy for everything around them. Ooh. What they're then going to try to do, they're going to look around what kind of talents are in a group. Are there smiths in the group? Are there artists? Are there martial artists? And so forth and so on. They're gonna try to get an in. Whomever seems the most interesting to them, and actually in a certain way I think you could call that a compliment, because to them they're going to the most prestigious guy or girl in the group, or like the top, the creme de la creme as they perceive it. They have a sense for that, so if they come after you, be complimented in a way. If they don't come after you and afterwards you figure out what kind of a evil creep he or she was, oh well, you know, just know that you still have ways to go as well. And that is fine. That is for everyone's life. So, what they then will do is they go to the top guys as they perceive it, the top fighter of the group, the top woodworker, all of that. They're gonna spin stories about, oh yeah, they were in the crafts too and this and that. Like they actually had a business at some point or this and that. And bear in mind, by the way, when they start bragging like that, that's typically for narcissists actually, is ask them what happened if they were so successful, because it's usually always success stories, right? If it's gonna be, it's like what happened, and you could be confronting and just outright say, did you f it up? No, are you a screw up? They're not gonna like that. I can tell you this much. But they'll have their excuse immediately ready. Immediately. They actually planned this ahead, is my belief. From what I have personally come across, excuse is always just around the corner. They planned this out, I believe. Some of them do, at least. The smarter ones. And they're gonna try to, let's go with the woodworker example. They talk to the best woodworker of the group. This is a guy who has true talent, he's actually quite beloved by the community, wants to help people out. This parasite is gonna try to do business with the woodworker. What does that mean? Is basically it will start off with compliments. Oh, you're such an amazing woodworker. Have you actually thought about going out to the world and making some money with that skill set? Woodworker can reply in 100 ways, of course, but usually it's going to be closer to a yes or a no. In case of a yes, oh, can I join? In case of a no, oh, we really should make work of that, don't we? Really get excited, get you all motivated. Let's say the woodworker falls for it, which is, it's can happen. If you're a woodworker who then, if the woodworker in the example goes along with it, it's really quickly going to become obvious that they will, in the first few weeks, months, it's all going to be along the lines of, hey, woodworker, you do all the work and I'll take care of the paperwork, or something like that. Or the pathological type will be, will put oneself as a middleman between the woodworker and between possible clients, right? And before long, even if that then, and let's say it does go that far, that it works out that way, now this parasite is going to put oneself in a spot where they can basically sit back, let the woodworker do all the hard work, of course, and meanwhile this parasite is going to look for people who will do the paperwork also, and then maybe even someone who will look after the clients, and still that parasite will try to get the most money out of all of it, the most energy. And the moment someone says, hey, this seems unfair, like you're doing jack shit, in my experience, when you do that, they run away. Just saying, the people who know which types I'm on about, they ran away with their tail between their legs. Once figured out, it was actually quite pathetic. Or I suppose they'll throw a fit if they're sociopathic rather than narcissistic. If they're downright psychopath, if it's downright psychopathy, then I do not quite know. I've never come across anyone like that, I think. But all in all, you get the idea here. But there is also another side of that. Actually, I've already explained this in other videos. I'm kind of repeating myself, but actually I do not mind. It's good for me as well. What if the parasite, the pathological type, how shall one call it, actually creates problems in a group? Which is what they do, by the way. They will set people off against each other and make themselves like the untouchable middleman between everyone. It's very common. If you have a strong group of friends, it will remain untouched. It really is. It's almost, it's not a fun experience, but it is a useful one. Because I learned through these pathological types in a group that I was in, who my friends were, who stuck with me, and who fell out when things got tough. It's actually, in my eyes, it did me nothing but favors when I look back at it. I can feel however I want about that I fell for it. In the long run, I'm better off. It does help if you really have your mind made up about what you want to go for in life. And if, for me, doing right by the people I love is a big part of it, and nobody is going to dissuade me from that. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. So, if you can set yourself in that mindset, these parasites will, by the way, a far harder time to touch you. Far harder. Actually, it's practically impossible, all things considered, because your mind is the one thing they can't steal from you, right? But there is another such instance where you have, let's say, a medicine person, let's say a herbalist in the group, and pathological type learns some tricks from this herbalist, what is healthy and what is poisonous. What in fact, if pathological type goes out, you've packaged up all the medicine and what have you, like really the herbalist has been motivated to go out there as a doctor of some kind, some medicine man, which is, in and of itself, that's good, right? Not pathological. I forgot the name. Just natural remedies. Let's go with that. Natural medicine. Yeah, so the question then is, what will the pathological type do if that isn't going to be sold? Because, well, the medicine is a thing, it works, but there's barely anyone ill that is in need of that medicine. Pathological type immediately will figure, well, let's make everyone ill then, so they will buy the medicine. Sounds familiar? Rings a bell or two, maybe. Well, yeah, I actually think I have little else to add to that. I thought I was going to be able to bring a bit more detail into it, but it does really explain all it has to, no? What happens if you have more such types all over society in general? Not just even just the white positive or there within the sphere of those who hold on to their ancestors above all else, who follow their blood. Well, I guess how shall one put it? I guess you could end with the right mess, don't you? Don't we all know it? Can still laugh about it, of course. But can we also figure it out? Those among us who still need to, I definitely not what would one call it? To not realize it until a bit later, it's okay. Let me put it like that. But then once you do, what do you do with that knowledge? I'm wondering if there is something else I can add to that. Because I actually enjoy talking about dealing with evil people. No, it's a lot of fun for me. Because these are truly the types I want to see, decree their power. I want it just to fall away. Actually, they don't even really have power because they can't even control themselves. It's just pathetic. They have no hold on themselves, so they try to have hold on others. Like they look for. It's like these types who go on vacation to find themselves. No, that's not how it works, because It's between your ears where all of that is going on. You know, yourself. And I suppose, you know, your entire body. Whether you are struggling with yourself in the mountains of Norway or on a boat in the Mediterranean Sea, you know, that's you're not gonna look at you're not gonna find it externally. That's how pathology slowly rise up, I think. Oh yeah, for those who are appreciative of the lexicon for white well-being, what can I say to that is also the mimetic pathogen that is brought up quite often. The ill memory within. Well, we are, you know, that is psychology as well, right? This is just a more specific aspect that is in a way broader. But what that says is, or how shall I put it? You do not need to understand every last ounce of all these philosophers and what they were on about. You know, whether they are contemporary or men of the past, or women of the past even. Whether they are white or non-white actually stays a bit in the middle, I suppose. But this is what, to have at least a basic understanding in this is really going to help a lot. It will help understand yourself as much as it will help you understand the world outside or the people you will meet. And if you want a better world for tomorrow, I can't say it enough, you have to surround yourself with good people. Made videos on that before as well. You have to deal with good people to accomplish good goals. It takes one parasite to drain everyone and for everything to fall apart. I've seen it more than I care to. And it's also very sad that there are people who are looking and then suddenly such a parasite shows up, calls oneself this or that title, and everyone just runs. Well, not everyone, that's not true, but too many still run off with that. At best, you can call it out and these people will be deterred and will say, no, you know, I'm looking for the right place to be, so I'm gonna go there, rather than following yet another charlatan, another Charlemagne. Right? I think that makes sense. Or if they are actually those who are looking for another charlatan to follow after the last one that had their way with these poor individuals, then just close the door behind them and keep on going. There's nothing lost there. It's painful to say, but it is what it is, and it is everyone's personal choice. It's also why I've always said stay away from uniforms. There's no solution in that. Getting everyone to walk in the same line, that's unnatural, and it's the unnatural that has created the societies we live in today. Unless you're happy with what's going on, but then why are you even listening to my videos? All in all, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Give it a thought, I guess. You'll have a good one and bye-bye.